When you hear the word God, what comes to mind for you? It's probably a real range of things depending on your background or your upbringing. For some of you, that term might feel warm, comfortable, familiar, foundational even. And for others, it might make you cringe, or it might bring back painful memories or feelings of shame and dogmatism. It's a pretty divisive word. But I think that what you believe about God, even if he's hypothetical for you, what you think about his character probably informs how you see yourself and your relationships with others. I think it's at the core. Do we believe that God is cruel, cold, distant, uncaring, or punitive? That he's like Zeus waiting up there with a lightning bolt to punish us any chance he gets? Or that he's like an angry father, someone to be scared of? Humans have been trying to figure out the answer to this question for as long as we've been around. What is God like? Really? What's he really like? And what do we mean when we say that word, God? Here's what I mean, at least. I mean, like St. Anselm, the greatest conceivable being. That which is worthy of worship. I mean, the big picture, the first mover, the primary thing. The thing that was here before everything else was here, the source of it all. The thing that it all hangs on. And I mean the source of truth, beauty, and goodness. And if things can be better or worse, well, what's the best thing? What's at the top? It seems like that thing must exist, and I want to know, is it personal? And if it is, what is he, she, it like? And in my search to understand that, I find myself confronted with the person of Jesus. And I have to figure out what to make of him. Because he made some extraordinary claims about who he was. He claimed to be God. And I think you've basically got three options when it comes to Jesus. You can think he's crazy, just a lunatic and a madman. Fair enough, he said some pretty perplexing things, that's for sure. You can think he's a liar or a charlatan, he's just trying to trick people into building a following or something. Or, I think, you can take him seriously. I am as skeptical a person as they come, really I am. But when I see the things that Jesus taught, the way he lived and the way he treated people, I don't see the ramblings of a madman. I see real, practical wisdom for how to live in this world and what's truly valuable. I see deep truths that resonate with my experience about the temptations of the human heart and how we ought to live. And I can't convince myself that he's a liar either, because, well, to what end would he lie? It's not like he started a cult and made a bunch of money. He was homeless and poor. And more than that, he was ultimately murdered by the religious and political systems of the day. So surely if he was just tricking everyone, he'd come clean long before enduring a torturous death at the hands of the Romans. I just don't buy it. Now, I won't pretend that the alternative isn't extraordinary, that he was telling the truth. I mean, that would change everything, right? He said things like, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And I and the Father are one. And before Abraham was, I am. He identified himself with God. And that's a big claim. It's kind of the biggest claim you can make, really. But let's entertain it just for a second. What might it look like if God, the ultimate reality, the creator, the source, the first mover, the pick your name, became human to make itself known? It would be kind of like the creator of a simulation entering the simulation or something. It's at least conceivable, right? And so what would we expect to see? Well, I'd expect a good God, a being who's actually worthy of worship, to treat all humans, regardless of their social status, with incredible dignity, care, and attention. And I see that in Jesus. I would think that God would demonstrate his power in some way if he wanted to be known as God and wasn't trying to stay undercover. Now, make of the reports what you will, but I see that in Jesus too. And so did enough of his followers for them to die, claiming that he was who he said he was. I'd think that God would want to reveal his heart towards us. And I see that in Jesus. We see it in how he treated people, in the things that he taught about how we should live and what we should value. And then ultimately, we see it in his death. What we see in the open arms of Jesus on the cross is an announcement of the heart of God as unrelenting and unconditional love. Agape. As he's being brutally murdered, he prays for his murderers. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. So Jesus is agape taken to its fullest extent. It's agape personified, agape in human form, agape lived out. That famous verse, John 3:16, so many people know this verse, you probably do too. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son. For God so what? The world? Agaped the world. Some people have this idea that God so hated the world that he came to condemn it. That God's so disgusted with the world that he wants to burn it. But that's not what we see in Jesus. Instead, it's that God so loved this world that he'd made and everyone in it that he joined it. He entered into it. He became a part of it. He lived it and allowed it to murder him. And we find out that rather than God being vindictive and looking for a way to slay his enemies, this God would rather die than slay his enemies. And so, if you've been asking that question, what is God like? If you want to know, I think you need to look at Jesus. Figure out what you think of him. Was he a liar? A lunatic? Or could he be Lord?